It is a great pleasure to welcome today my colleagues from Austria, Czechia, and Slovakia. Dear Beate, dear Petra, dear Juraja, your presence in Tirana reflects the genuine friendship that you and your countries share with Albania, as well as the strong and consistent cooperation we have built, particularly in the steadfast support for EU enlargement and for Albania's accession path to the European Union. We are grateful to all of you, to your countries, to your societies for this support. The Slavkovského format, known as the S3, is a constructive platform with a forward-looking agenda that has contributed to strengthening European cooperation in Albania and across the region. Notably, it has played a key role in establishing the Friends of the Western Balkans, a group that was formed 3 years ago, which has since actively supported advancing the European perspective of the region and bringing forward tangible integration benefits for the accession to the European Union of all our countries in the region. Although this was a rather brief visit, I can tell you, our discussions were intensive and highly substantive. We held open and constructive exchanges on Albania's EU accession process and the broader European perspective of the Western Balkans in a spirit of trust, partnership, and shared responsibility. I reiterated that EU accession remains Albania's foremost strategic priority, firmly anchored in a broad national consensus. We are fully committed to maintaining this strong momentum and look forward to meeting EBARs as soon as possible, paving the way for the next phase of negotiations, that is the closing of the chapters, for which we have been working and preparing for during this time. Throughout this process, delivery remains essential, and that counts for Albania and from our institutions and our negotiating teams, but also from our partners alike. This is and must remain a merit-based process, grounded in reforms and concrete, verifiable results. We remain focused on strengthening the rule of law, advancing justice reform, fighting corruption, improving governance, and ensuring full alignment with EU standards. In this shared endeavor, continued engagement and mutual trust will be key to the credibility of the process and to moving forward together towards a united European future. We also exchanged views on regional development, emphasizing the importance of stability, cooperation, and a clear European perspective for all Western Balkan countries. I was briefed on the preparations for the upcoming Friends of the Western Balkans meeting in Bratislava, and we agreed that continued political support for enlargement, gradual integration, and closer coordination between EU member states and the Western Balkans must remain central to the agenda of May 12th, the meeting in Bratislava, and in future meetings in this format. Our discussions also focused on energy interconnection and transport corridors, particularly considering ongoing geopolitical developments, including the situation in the Middle East. These dynamics further underscore the need to strengthen regional connectivity, resilience, and energy security. We addressed migration and border management as well, recognizing them as a key dimension in both EU and member state security. I reaffirmed Albania's commitment to enhancing capacities, strengthening border control, and addressing irregular migration in close cooperation with the EU as part of the broader accession trajectory. I also reiterated Albania's long-standing and full alignment with the EU's common foreign and security policy, as well as common security and defense policy, underscoring our role as a reliable and trusted partner that actively contributes to European security and stability while playing a constructive role in the Western Balkans. I welcome the reconfirmation by all colleagues of their strong and continued support for Albania's EU path, as well as their commitment to keeping enlargement high on the EU's agenda, ensuring that the process remained merit-based, predictable, and grounded in tangible results and progress. We underlined that the Western Balkans are an integral part of Europe's future. In today's geopolitical context, enlargement is not merely a policy choice, it is a strategic necessity. Finally, We reaffirmed our shared commitment to maintaining this strong political momentum and advancing Albania's and the wider Western Balkans' European integration journey without delay. Once more, dear Beate, dear Pete, dear Juraj, welcome to Tirana, welcome to Albania, and I'm pleased to give the floor to Juraj.
Thank you, dear Beate, dear Peter, dear Minister, dear Ferit. On behalf of S3, Slavko 3, let me thank for your warm hospitality and very fruitful and I think very needed discussion we had. It was short, as you said, but it was very productive. Thank you ever so much. The integration of the Western Balkans region into the European Union is a strategic priority of the Slavko 3 cooperation. The European perspective of the entire region was clearly defined at the Thessaloniki summit in 2003. You can hear very well 2003, and now we have 2026. In the context of current geopolitical turbulence, the urgent need for EU enlargement is all the more imperative today. We see it as a key prerequisite for assuring security, strengthening stability, and prosperity on the continent. It is essential to the existing momentum to contribute to redirecting the advice's geopolitical turbulence into the positive direction. The strategic importance of the region's integration into the European Union has been highlighted by the current geopolitical turbulence. We see S3 visit to Tirana as well-timed and very useful interaction with the leadership of the Republic of Albania. Since the opening of accession negotiation in July 2022, Albania has shown significant progress in the transformation of society at all levels and has been successfully meeting the integration criteria. We believe that Albania can become a champion in this area. Albania can, and from our point of view, should become a country motivating other candidate countries. It is important for the entire region that there are as many positive examples as possible. We recommend placing fundamental emphasis on the rule of law agenda in accession talks. Positive result in the rule of law represent a key added value and a winning card. This is a historic opportunity for Albania and the entire region, which must be seized. We are ready to continue to provide assistance and necessary consultation and cooperation in achieving the goal of closing the negotiation chapters. Sharing our expertise in the EU agenda is aimed at helping Albania to pursue accession talks in a dynamic and effective manner. S3 is a supporter of full-fledged membership. For the credibility of the accession process, membership criteria must remain clearly defined, balanced, and based on the principle of own merits. We advocate for the principle of own merit itself as a key to the EU accession. We don't support ideas on alternative partial solutions. We are convinced that the consensus of all 27 EU members can only be found on the principle of full membership. Slavko 3 has been expressing its active support for the integration of Western Balkan countries into the European Union, also within the broad informal group of the 7 EU member states, friends of the Western Balkans: Austria, Slovakia, Czech Republic, Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, and Greece. Its next meeting will, with the partner from the Western Balkans and with the participation of Commissioner Kos, will take place on May 12th in Bratislava. We see it as another opportunity to uphold the goal of Tirana to accomplish Albania's goal to fulfill membership by 2030. But let me again thanks for the productive discussion. We opened many issues which are motivating Albania to proceed. But I've noticed one very great sentence which was said by our colleague Beate. She said, recreating common future. I think that's the great motto of our meeting today. Thank you.
Your Excellency, dear Ferit, dear Juraj, dear Petra, it's great to be, well, actually back in Tirana. And thank you very much for quoting me, actually quoting somebody else. So, but thanks for quoting me. I want to be very direct from the start. Without the countries of the Western Balkans, the European Union is not complete. Their stability is our security. Their prosperity is our opportunity. And their European future is in Austria's clear interest. So yes, I agree. And the quote, the full quote was, we might not, but it is, we might share the same history, but not the same memory, but for sure we share the same future. But enlargement, that's not a favor. And sometimes in the discussions we have the feeling it's like a favor we do to a country. That's not about it. It's one of the smartest investments Europe can make in its own security and prosperity. And Austria knows this from its own experience. We have benefited massively from previous enlargements. After the EU's enlargement in 2004, our exports of these countries tripled. Just one enlargement round has created more than 130,000 jobs in Austria. And I'm confident that this success story can continue and will continue, not only can, but will continue with Albania. Austria is the sixth largest investor in Albania, and around 50 companies are active here. Allow me, therefore, to highlight a recent very positive example, and we talked about the necessity to provide enough energy for the future and to have it, of course, renewable. We are very happy that Verbund Green Power will be constructing Albania's first ever wind farm. Once completed, the farm will supply electricity to tens of thousands of households. And this is what European partnership can deliver: investment, jobs, and real opportunity for people. And there's strong interest in deepening our economic cooperation. Strong economic partnerships need one thing above all, and that is trust. The trust in institutions, the trust in fair rules, trust that the reforms are not only written on paper, but felt in people's daily lives. That is why Albania's reform path remains so important. Albania has made, and I commend you on that, significant progress in its journey towards the EU membership, at full speed, I must say. But let me be also very clear, you must continue these reforms and to continue to stay on this reform path. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached a very decisive moment in probably European history, and I hope that we will soon be able to start closing chapters. This is not an easy process. We do not underestimate how difficult and sometimes painful it is. We fully support you on your European path, and therefore we need you to continue with the ambitious reforms, especially regarding, it was mentioned before, rule of law, and of course, the fight against corruption. At the same time, Europe must deliver. Europe for Albanians must not be just a promise for tomorrow. It must be a reality people can already feel today. That is why Austria, together with, in this format, S3, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, strongly supports the gradual integration of the Western Balkans. Or as I call it, membership in milestones, step-by-step integration. This means tangible progress that people and businesses can feel, can see, can touch. We already see this with Albania joining SEPA. This makes payments easier, faster, and cheaper, and we benefit all of this SEPA. And we want to go further. We discussed about the opportunities for the people with roaming. Today, because today many people still switch off their phones when they arrive here because they fear high costs, but crossing a border should not mean disconnecting from Europe. We are therefore pushing to bring the Western Balkans into the Rome-like home regime, and this will make a real difference to both sides. And there's also a strategic reason. Where Europe leaves a vacuum, and I always say there is no such thing in geopolitics like a vacuum, others step in with their rules, their money, their influence. So Europe must be present, Europe must be credible, and Europe must deliver. If we keep our, we have to keep our promises. If we keep countries waiting for too long, we should not be surprised if others step in. Let me conclude as directly as I began. Albania's future lies in the European Union, and Austria will continue to be a reliable partner on this path.
Okay, so dear colleagues, Your Excellencies, thank you for this. I don't want to repeat of many of them that was said here, because I would have to agree with everything. So it is a great pleasure to be here today in Tirana together with my colleagues from Slovakia and Austria in this Slavkov format. I think our joint visit here sends one clear message and has one special result, purpose, and it is we came here to support Albania on its path towards EU membership. For me personally, there is one more thing that I remember that Albania handed over the application for entering the EU in Prague in 2009 during our presidency in the European Union Council. And the Prime Minister did that in my presence because I was the member of the presidential office at that time. So, you know, it's well connected. I thank you for excellent discussion and the fruitful discussion over the lunch with a taste of rakia at the end. So that's the specialty to be here, of course. It's a good reason for coming back from time to time. So, I think the opening, the three of us came here to engage, to express the strong support, but also to listen. It's very encouraging to see that Albania is making a real and rapid progress in its EU accession talks. Opening all negotiation clusters marks an important milestone and has placed Albania among the front runners. I said that the speed opening all chapters in 13 months is excellent, impressive, and it means that you really mean that seriously with the European Union. So at the same time, Albania's accession process is entering a more demanding phase. We're confident that Albania has both the capacity and the commitments to continue moving forward. The progress achieved so far provides a strong basis for the next stage. The region and the situation in the region was one of the key topics of our discussion today. So the Western Balkans matter for stability, security, defense, and for the future of Europe as a whole. We share a clear perspective of all Western Balkan countries belonging to European Union, and we hope they will be able to become EU member states as soon as possible. There are still challenges in the region, but the answer to them is to promote dialogue, to strengthen cooperation, and to keep the enlargement process credible, merit-based, and forward-looking. In this context, Albania's role remains important as a reliable partner and contributor to regional dialogue and cooperation. Your Excellency, you said during the lunch that you spent a long time in Brussels. So I think it's this time-consuming practice is quite important. I think it's good to be well skilled into this, and you will definitely know that once you're EU members, that the time spent in Brussels is a special time.
Thank you very much. We would have loved to really take some questions, but because the time is extremely tight, that will be for the next time. So thank you very much for your presence, and see you next time.